grades changed for failing students, allowing some to pass with scores they didn't earn.
Tonight, we've uncovered evidence of an upstate school ordering teachers to change student grades. Gordon Bill is here with the 7 on Your Side Community Watchdog investigation, passing students failing grades.
Yeah, you'd assume that the lowest grade possible is a 0, but that's not always true. I have evidence that shows one school where scores don't dip below 60, no matter what the students actually earned. It goes by a couple of names, a grade floor or grade basement, and it means some teachers are changing grades to help failing students pass.
R.D. Anderson serves 3 Spartanburg County districts. Students here learn real jobs while earning real grades. Unlike the real world, at this school, it's not easy to fail.
So what if a student got a 43 in your class?
Then it was raised to a 60, unless there were really extenuating circumstances.
That's Mickey Turner, a former R.D. Anderson teacher. These were the grades she gave in December of last year. One student earned a 56 and got a 60.
How did you feel about doing that?
Well, I did what I was supposed to do, what I was told to do, but as a parent, I felt that it might have been inequitable.
Turner says it was the school's director, Sherry Yarborough, who told her to change those grades, which Yarborough denies.
It's never a written policy that you couldn't give lower than the 60. That if you were going to give a grade lower than a 60, you had to come in, present what the student had done or hadn't done.
So we used the Freedom of Information Act to get these emails sent from Yarborough to all teachers, including Turner, from May of 2010. No grades lower than a 60 to any students, no matter what. In October, no final averages below 60. And in May of 2011,
Must be a 60 or higher, no exceptions in all caps.
Right, and those were generally, and those were at a time when it was the practice that I understood from the state uniform grading policy that it didn't, because it didn't matter. The student's not gaining anything by receiving lower than a 60. They're not getting points for it. An F is an F.
which is true. 60 is an F. But that number can affect a student's final score and can determine who passes and who fails.
If you had a 90 first 9 weeks, and maybe you made a 20 the second 9 weeks, then you really would have failed.
But you didn't fail.
Right, because we raised that to a 60 for the second 9 weeks, which allowed them to pass for the year, or for the semester.
So there are going to be people who successfully complete programs, who successfully pass, who might not have if their grade hadn't been raised up, right?
That could happen, yes. But that's what we're here for. We're here to make sure that students are successful.
Yarborough says her emails come from confusion about state policy, which was clarified by the state superintendent last year with this memo to all superintendents, which addresses violations of state policy. Administrators here no longer require grade changes, but individual teachers still do it.
They may not be capable of making higher than a 45 or a 50. And that's the teacher's discretion as to, that's the kind of cases that you have that when you look at the state uniform grading policy, they don't take into account that you've got every student from your honor student to the lowest of the low with an IEP that can't write their name, sometimes in the same classroom.
And soon they'll be competing for the same real-world jobs.
Yarborough says one good reason for changing a grade is to give students a chance to catch up, especially those who missed a lot of class time for an illness or injury. Those students would still have a chance to pass. And not all failing scores were changed. Some students who say didn't show up got lower than a 60. As for the teacher you just heard from, Mickey Turner, she's no longer with the school. Yarborough referred to her as a disgruntled employee. Amy?
All right, thanks, Gordon. Now, Gordon also talked to the state superintendent's office about this. His spokesperson said R.D. Anderson is not alone. There are other schools and districts with similar grade basements, but the superintendent can't stop it. Instead, they'll ask for legislation to ban the practice statewide.